Everyone, all the students of Sapience and those who are watching us, we have our 5 shining stars. Before I start, can you please let me know on YouTube if I am audible? Now we have our 5 rankers here, starting from Mona Lisa, Kishore, Aryan, Gopala and Nagabhushan. I'll not take much time speaking about them, we all know it, but to give you a brief idea about their achievement.
My parents found it fine because they know me from first standard, and me getting this much was kind of unexpected. So that's it.
So, like after COVID hit, most of my expectations and my focus was kind of distorted. So, I did work hard nonetheless, and after during the exam, I just applied my very best, my level best. So when I first saw my results, I didn't set any expectations. I just worked hard. I did my best. So when I saw it, and when I heard that I even qualified, I was pretty satisfied. Even my parents were pretty happy to see my results because it was honestly unexpected to even qualify for advanced. So it was good.
I and my parents were really happy when I got below 1000 rank in NEET. That was unexpected, and especially the JEE part also, because I had not prepared for it, but still I got a good percentage. They were really happy.
At 10th even I was like in this confusion like the rest of students, should I take both or should I just take bio? But personally I like bio and maths, and if you like avoid the distractions and you're really into it, it's not very hard to manage, and understanding concepts makes it easier because maths is also used in some part of chemistry and physics, even if you're going only for NEET and not JEE. So at the end of the day it'll be more beneficial, and it'll also make your logical thinking better. So like that helps in solving both the questions. So I guess I don't at all regret, and I would also suggest students to take bio and maths.
Yes, Kishore.
So basically I prepared more on PCB, but still maths I prepared for board exams. That was more helpful, and especially before the KCET exams, I prepared more for maths itself. I focused more on maths because my PCB was strong. So it's better to take it and try it on it. It's not so difficult. You can do it.
Okay, so that was for biology and mathematics. Now the next question is the strategy. See, students generally feel like how to prepare for PCMB along with their board and entrance exam preparation. Be very specific and tell me how you manage both. All of you, please share your experience. Board as well as competitive exam, because there are few students who prepare for board and they say, okay, I don't have time to prepare for competitive. And those who are preparing for competitive, they feel like I don't know how to do the derivation and all those things. So can you please help them out?
Like in class 11, I was too much on board, but in class 12, I was like, let boards go, I don't care now. So I focus only on competitive because I know that if I get strong in competitive, automatically boards will be set. And I know that JEE is not about syllabus, competition, etc. JEE is about how you cope up, how you teach yourself perseverance, how you change your attitude, how you go about the preparation, how you can tackle your own problems rather than completing syllabus, getting marks, etc. etc. So those applied during board exam, and I could do easily.
Yes, Gopal.
I believe that if you prepare for competitive exams, it's more than enough for boards. And if you're worrying about derivations, I guess you can just follow your teachers. You can just follow your teachers; they'll try to help you. And before board exams, you can check your you don't need to revise continuously derivations. You can write it down from your teachers while they're teaching. Then afterwards, before exam, you can do it. So that's my plan.
So the method to prepare varies from each student, like from one student to another. But then I'd say the best way for most people is setting a timetable, setting a time from what time to what time to study which subject and which either competitive or boards. But then people don't realize that boards actually, it's the base of like JEE and all other competitive exams. So once you learn the board part thoroughly, once you have that down completely, you usually already learned like almost more than half of the competitive syllabus. So once you keep that in mind and once you strategize, I guess both of them will be fairly easy to balance.
I think boards and competitive are not so different. It's based on the way you write. In boards, you have to write completely, and you get MCQs in competitive. So it's not completely different. The syllabus is the same. So you have to try to complete the syllabus during your course. Then, you have to practice questions for competitive and practice writing in board exams. And derivations and all, during the before exams, you can complete those. And it's all the same, especially for the NEET part.
Board and competitive are not two different things, and the concept almost 80% is the same. So if someone's finding it hard to manage with time, one can go about, like if you're doing a unit or a couple of chapters, be thorough for the board level and also do competitive or solve MCQs of the same chapter in 1 or 2 days. In that case, you'll be covering both, and also it's like the same concept. So when you're thorough with concept, writing or doing MCQ wouldn't be much of a problem. So yeah.
Most important question, and you are the only batch who can answer this. 2 years, full COVID, peak of COVID, your preparation was almost everything was online. And the worst part is you guys wrote offline exam. So, and this is the only batch, neither before you nor after you, who will who will face this problem. And the continuous question from the students are, which basically we also encountered, too much of distraction. It was online, so you have nobody's watching you. The other screen can be something else. Too much of distraction over mobile, social media, messaging, WhatsApp. How a student, this is a question from direct from student, how to keep it motivated and focus for their from all these mobiles and social media platforms, so that they can focus more. How you did it, starting from Nagashan?
Look, actually, social media doesn't change. You delete your account, you start it again, it still remains the same. Your interests still remain the same. So what we did, like till class 11th ending, we were distracted a lot using social media, games, etc. in the online world. So what we did, we took a hard decision. We blocked completely YouTube from the computer and Wi-Fi. We did that. It was a very hard step. Yeah, but we used to visit YouTube every week or something like that. And regarding mobile apps which actually distract you, can either uninstall them, disable them. You can't uninstall YouTube and a few games, like inbuilt games. So what you can do, you can download apps, you can block them, or you can limit their usage by a certain duration. And we did that. We often failed, but still we kept up our spirit and did that till the end. Even now.
My strategy is the same because we both are.
Okay.
So I think because of COVID and the pandemic hitting, it's like focusing on JEE and like all other competitive exams, it might take an extra toll on your mental health. So it is important to keep a balance between like studying and other things, like things to do to enjoy. But then I think it's about setting limits and following those limits properly. Like you can't be like, once you're studying, you have to be focused only on that studying. Like you can't be distracting yourself. You have to set a certain time in your day. You have 24 hours. I'm sure you can at least put like an hour or two for enjoyment, like self-fulfillment, like for social media or playing sports or anything else. But when you're studying, like it doesn't matter offline or online, the information you're being taught is the same. So if you focus properly with good teachers, which we have at Sapience, it's not going to be a problem if you focus solely on the studying part.
As he told, we have to fix a specific time during which we can use social media, and we can use social media like YouTube for learning part also. That's important. So you have to keep a specific time, but while studying there should be less distraction. That's it.
Keeping restriction is really important. It's not like you totally get off your accounts, and even if you block or log out, at some point you just feel like going back. So understanding the limit is the most important part of it, and I was not on Instagram, but I had YouTube and WhatsApp. Like at some point when I was getting distracted, you have these apps which keeps up focus time also, or log list apps when you're studying, so that can help you focus better.
Now this question is specific to NEET students, Monalisa and Kishore. See, this year the biology paper was out of the blue it came. Biology was tough, which nobody expected. Tough, I won't say, but it was little lengthy as compared to previous years. So the strategy which you have formed in your mock exams is definitely changed. And the thing is, it would have been very impulsive, because when you are taking exam, you have to change your strategy. What I have to do, because biology is a lengthy paper now. How to give more time for physics and chemistry. This decision is very important. You cannot follow something which you followed in mock exam. If you would have followed, definitely that would not have given much good result, because biology was really very lengthy. How impulsive your decision was, and how quickly you change your strategy while taking the exam. Starting from Kishore.
Yeah, it was difficult in the beginning because we attempt always bio in the starting. So it was difficult. It took more time than required, but after solving chemistry and physics, we got to know that it's much easier. So we got extra time for solving bio. It was lengthier because of statement questions. So we could manage time because chemistry and physics we could manage time, so we could get that for bio.
So basically, you attempted this physics and chemistry first, and last time bio.
No, bio in the beginning.
Bio.
Then we got less time for physics, but we could manage.
Okay, Mona Lisa.
Yeah, like normally when we are doing mocks, bio is the shorter section, so that's how it goes. But in my NEET paper, first I started off with bio. It turned out lengthy, so first I did the questions whichever took me less time. So it's like 30 to 40 minutes. I did whatever I could do in bio, and the lengthier ones I left for later. Then I did chemistry and physics, and after that I came back to the lengthier questions. And once you come back at the end, it's not like the questions are very difficult. It's lengthy, and most of them are from NCERT. So if you're thorough with NCERT, it should not be difficult, but you should be okay with the time management. And you get really tense because bio is what you start with, and if the start goes wrong, but you should like stay calm and like just go with the pace, and it'll be okay.
One general question students are asking. This question is from 12 students. He's asking that how to quantify my studies. Since he's asking like how many number of questions I should solve in a day or a week. What should their target be? Because they are clueless. How many questions of physics, chemistry, maths or biology in a day or a week, whatever. They want to quantify that, okay, if I have done this much, I'm okay. So they are clueless. So if all 5 of you can put your
matter, because when you reach your limit, you just need to go 1% more. To do that one step, you are more than enough. If, for example, if you are struggling with inorganic chemistry, one question can teach you a whole inorganic chemistry. Especially in inorganic chemistry, you find a lot of paragraph questions. One question is enough. It will teach you whole inorganic chemistry. Enough for 2 years. So it doesn't matter how many questions you do. You need to do those questions which can actually test your syllabus and your ability to solve. It is not about how many questions I do. Am I doing them in so and so time? It only matters that you do them properly and you do it. Not see solution and then do. I recommend throw a solution book away. Like you get it on fair, you throw it into away, it doesn't matter. Because during exam, you won't have a solution book near you. You need to do everything by yourself. So my best recommendation is keep the solution book in the other room, do your problems. You do 10 problems, it doesn't matter. You need to do those 10 problems all by your own. It should not be like I did 2 problems on my own and I saw a solution for 8 problems and I did them on my notebook. And also don't do these problems just for the sake that I'm doing problems, I am reaching my goal of the day. No. Your aim should be that using those problems, am I covering my syllabus, am I improving in my syllabus. And strong recommendation, don't see solution book. You will ruin, like whatever you studied, you will ruin and you may forget in your future, and then you will be like, I did this like some 2-3 times, I couldn't do it, Instead, you focus upon how you did it rather than just doing it and seeing solutions. Like that's what I did in maths. So it was
What I would recommend is, suppose you have 20 questions in a particular page or something like that. What you do is take 15 questions, put 25 minutes timer. Put 25 minutes timer and check how many you are doing. Don't see the solution, of course. See 25 minutes. That way you can develop something called exam temperament, so that you can complete the questions. At first you may get only 9 questions. You'll be able to complete just 9 questions or 10 questions or 12 questions, and you might get most of them correct or some of them correct. If you want to get correct answers, you need to become perfect in theory. Like you better checking, doing questions will help you to realize how strong are your concepts. So do that. It's perfect.
I believe there's no fixed number of papers or mock tests that you have to do. It varies from each person to another. But then I believe the best way to gauge your competence in that subject is when you're doing those papers, like as you do it, and if your percentage is going higher, the amount, like the accuracy of your answers, if they keep going higher, you're on the right track. And let's say you can set a goal of what percentage you want to reach each day for the amount of papers you're doing. And so let's say 90 to 95%. So until you reach that percentage of accuracy in your answers for each mock test, you got to keep doing papers. So I guess for some people it might help them practice, it'll be practice for them. And for those who are already proficient in the subject, they can end it early and give themselves more time to revise other subjects.
So it depends on the individual. So if he's ready to do a subject per day, it depends on that, and he can do all subjects on a day also. And yeah, the number of questions may be 30 to 40 per day. That's enough, but yeah, accuracy is very important. As he told, you have to not see the solutions. That's the part.
Okay, 30-40 questions in a subject per day. You're keeping giving a target.
If you tell about per subject, 20 to 25 is enough.
20 to 25 per day. So the toughness of the question also, I mean, little tough questions.
It varies.
It varies.
So quality always matters more than quantity. In a long term, if you have a quality study or a good concept, is when you can excel in the exam. So maybe there's a chapter, and if you're solving it for the first time, do how much you can, and when you're doing it for the second time, it could be some similar questions and some different questions, but this time you keep some time limit so that you get used to the exam mode, and you increase the speed of questions, and the next time you keep a check on your accuracy too. So every time you're solving question, you're improving yourself in all the ways what you would need in a competitive exam. So first of all, you need more quality concepts, and you should understand the concept properly, and also the questions, it should not be I'm just doing the question, I know what the answer is, and not just memorizing it, but you have to understand what the actual reason or how it works. That's when if another question similar to it comes, that happens in JEE too. I mean, the questions don't repeat, but the concept repeats. So when the concept repeats, this is what helps you understanding it, and not just knowing the answer. So work more on concepts, and once you keep time, or the other time you check your accuracy, so by the end, when you go towards the exam, it'll help you be a better one.
I'd like to add one thing. When you're learning, never be demotivated over your downs, because those downs will lead you again ups. When I was towards the end of my preparation, I started to give mocks. So when I was giving mocks, I used to analyze, I used to actually plot them on a graph in Excel sheet. So when I plotted them, you always get a graph something like this. You'll start from a limit, and you go up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And this always happened to me. And I still remember my second last mock was the worst mock of last 10 mocks. But still, I know that down will lead again up. So never expect and growth to be linear. But make sure that up-downs lead upwards rather than completely downwards. So I would suggest don't be demotivated upon your scores. Rather you focus whether you can bring that down again up rather than bringing it more down. Yes, it happens that you may go again down, but still try your best to bring it up.
Important question. In class 12th, you have a pressure of board plus all the competitive exam. In addition to that, 11th portion revision. How a student should manage, like what should be their timeline to finish their 12th portion, how to revise the entire thing of class 11th. Those becomes a challenge, and you have a pressure of board of subjective, then you have practical exams, lot many things you'll have to submit in school and college. Over that you have JEE mains, NEET, KSET, all the pressures. How a student, one first specific thing is when they should start 11th portion revision and how to keep it all 11 together till the end. I mean, how to keep it in mind till the end. You have to give it. Start from Kishore.
Try to complete your 11th once your 12th syllabus is complete. So you get a 2 or 3 months time where you can do 11th. And talking about 12th, you can complete it during your board exams, and you get a bit of time after your boards between your competitive exams where you can focus more on 11th because that's the part you've forgotten more. So that's the duration, and after completing your 12th syllabus and the duration you get between your board exams and the competitive exams.
So, when you're doing 11 from the starting, if you keep your pace well and if you do the concepts properly, it wouldn't be much of a problem. Or if you were lagging a little at the in the start and maybe towards the end of 11th, you know, like 70% of 11, you get like 2 weeks gap after before 12 to start. So in that duration, you can complete the rest of your 11 topics, and if how much ever you can, just do it. And then when you start 12, start it fresh, and maybe like by August or September, you have like 80% of 12th knowledge, or at least a 75% knowledge of the whole 12th syllabus. Then like what I did was I did my boards like 1 month or maybe 1.5 months at max. So till then I was doing for competitive. So after having like 75% of 12th with you, you can start doing 11th, and now you have to go deep in. It's not like for boards. Now what you're doing is for competitive. So now you have to understand the concept to the most of it. And then once you're done with boards, you'll have like at least 1 month time for your competitive to come up. So then you can revise both, and you should keep giving mocks. Also, don't skip mocks because they play a very important role. Like and you should also analyze your mock papers. And what most of the students do, according to even my friends, it's like syllabus complete nahi hai, to I'll give mock later once my syllabus is done, and that delay just goes on. That tomorrow just goes on extending. So that will affect you in a long term. So even if your syllabus is not complete, don't skip mocks, because like when you give a mock, even if you don't know, when you're giving a full syllabus test, maybe the same question or concept is repeating, and that is what is going to matter more in your final exam. That is what will help you.
What I'd say is it's better, it would be more convenient for someone to like never completely lose touch with 11th. So I'd say keep a ratio. So once you once you start 12th, like at the beginning, you can keep like a 90% to 10% ratio, 90% 12th, 10% 11th. So you never like completely lose touch. That's a problem many people usually face. So, and as you gradually complete more and more portions in 12th, you can increase that ratio according to your needs. So you could always stay in touch with both 11th and 12th, and you always have some information retained in your brain.
What I believe is you don't need to completely know the full syllabus. You can know part syllabus for class 11th and class 12. Suppose most of the people do class 12 their best and class 11 not the best, because most of them forget most of it. So it's not necessary that you need to completely revise it. What you can do is you can revise it part by part. Like suppose in a week you have 7 days, right? In that you can take 2 days out or some hours out of those 2 days and somehow revise some specific chapters there. It's not necessary that you need to sit and see the theory. Most of the time I recommend you people to see the questions. Like I recommend people to mark questions which are important, which you find important while solving the question when you are first solving it. So that time you can revise those questions. It's much better. So that's how we can revise.
Actually, myself, I never completed the whole syllabus. I did only 80% of the syllabus and went to the exam. It's not necessary to complete the whole syllabus, because once you just have touch over the syllabus, it's enough. Like, I never touched 11th syllabus during my whole class 12 until I completed class 12th about 80%. Then I made sure that my 12th was good, because in 11th there are few chapters which you need to be in touch throughout your whole preparation. For example, in chemistry you have thermodynamics. The same concepts repeat in 12th. So you need to be strong in such chapters, and teachers will always guide you what chapters important. And always it's usually the first or second chapter. For example, mathematics you have quadratic equations and permutation combinations. These two chapters help a lot throughout the whole syllabus. And for chemistry, thermodynamics, equilibrium. Like many students face issues with few chapters. For me personally, it was ionic equilibrium and conic sections. So what are they? It is just small part of the syllabus. It's like barely 5%. So I told 5% doesn't matter in the exam, because you just need to get 66% score to be in top 5,000 students. So like I don't need that 5%. Rather I would focus on what's important to me. And also once you actually come to towards the end, you find that the syllabus is interlinked. For example, you can use calculus to do coordinate geometry questions, and you can use thermodynamics from chemistry to solve thermodynamics from physics. So you can do jugaad also from various parts of the syllabus to do from my channel. And that's what I did. In my JEE paper, I got a coin system question. It was from parabola and circles combined. I don't know how to do it. I don't know the formula from, especially from circles and especially from parabola. So what I did, I used calculus and I got it right. Yes, but it does take time. So you try to visit that part of syllabus which you may use in future. And you're never required to complete the whole syllabus. I barely, like, last December I was up to 60% syllabus. Not the whole syllabus, only 60%. But I was strong at it. So that helped me to push myself further. And I reached till 80% and I went to the exam. So your first priority is not to focus on syllabus. Rather focus upon how good at you are when you are doing the same syllabus, whatever you have in your hands.
With two last question, this is straight from the student. One question is, just before exam, how to recap the entire 11th and 12th? And the second question is, how to make notes if you are advising them to make notes, how to make notes? Starting from Mona Lisa, hope you have got these two questions. One is how to make notes, and second is how to recap the entire 11th and 12th portion for your exam.
So, coming to making notes, according to me, like what I do is I don't make a separate notebook. You can keep a base book. Like for me, it was NCRT. So when your teacher is teaching you in class, you obviously make separate notes for it. And suppose you're using another reference book, it could be the Sapience book. So when you're studying it on your own, so you take one base book, like if it's the NCRT, you write all the points from the notes and the Sapience book which are not in NCRT or which you think are important. So doing this, you can get all your notes at a place, and when you're learning it towards the end, maybe 1 or 2 months before the exam, it'll be easier for you to not run behind 2-3 different books, but to get everything at one place. And also it's covering everything. It's not something new, but what you have learned, and it's just more fresh in your head. And for people who find remembering things or memorizing things hard, I guess this could help. Like in a week, when you keep studying all throughout the week, you can keep like probably a Wednesday evening or a Sunday or a complete Sunday. So whatever you learn throughout the week, revise it. Revise the whole thing on that Wednesday, and then on Sunday again you're revising the whole thing, what you did from Monday to Saturday. So for the next week, again you're revising what you learned in the first 2 weeks. So when this keeps on going in the starting, it could take you more time, but as you keep on seeing the same thing, like it just comes to your head when you see a question related to that topic, like this is so and so line of the book or so, because you kept seeing it so many times that you don't forget it. So for equations which are hard for you, you just keep revising them at an interval, like whatever you learn from Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, you can revise after during the night, and whatever you learn throughout the week, do it on Sunday. And the second week, you revise whatever you did on the both the weeks. So like this, you keep revising everything, and towards the end, it wouldn't even take you much effort because most of it is already in your head, and you're just brushing through it. So that can help you remember things in a longer term.
When you go what physics and maths, you can remember the formulas and go. But when it comes to bio and chemistry, then notes become important because when you try to read the whole NCERT, you can't cover the whole thing up in the last day. So at that time, notes become important. You have to make all the notes of the equations which are there in chemistry. And bio, I think I prefer you can underline in the textbook itself because yeah, you can't make the notes for the whole thing. You can make the important points in the textbook itself, and if there's something extra, you can write it in the textbook itself. Separate notes is not required for bio, but when you come to chemistry, you have to write the equations, especially the inorganic part, orders where you can't remember it every time. You can keep revising it so you get it. Good.
So if you believe you have enough time to make your own notes, then I'd say whichever reference books, whichever like notes you've gotten from your coaching centers or schools, whichever notes you have, you just try to take the points you think will help you the most vital points, and add them to your own book. Like make an own book of yours and add your own notes, make your own notes from all the points of the other books. And if you don't have time, then I'd say in all the books you have, mark the most useful, vital, important points so then you can refer to them later on when you need to. And last minute studying, so I'd say you wouldn't have enough time to go through concepts. Like when you're going through concepts at last minute, you won't be able to cover as much compared to going through the formulas. I feel you can go through a larger volume of formulas right before the exam compared to concepts. So I'd focus more on the formulas than concepts for last minute study.
What I believe is while making notes, you're going to make notes with the class, right? Like when the teacher is teaching one particular concept and he writes it down on the board, you can also write it. And the teacher always tells you which one is important, which concept always comes in an exam and which one doesn't often come. So what you do is, if the teacher says that this concept comes mostly, you can mark that. And you can also, after completing the whole chapter, after doing all the questions, what you can do is you can make separate notebook for revision, and I want you to make revision notes concise. Like suppose motion in 1D, I would recommend you to make like 1.5 page. Just write the formulas and just write what concepts you found hard, and whenever you're doing questions, the questions which you found hard, the concepts related to that question, you can write it down on the particular revision book. So always be consistent on maintaining a revision notebook because people often lose out. I was one of them.
I would suggest that before a class, the teacher would already tell you like last class, next class you are doing this, you will just be ready, okay? So when teacher says this, you just be ready one hour before, or at your home if you're taking offline. Just read what sir or madam is gonna teach you for that day. So when you do that, you can get a clear-cut idea of what is gonna be taught and what you can actually take from it. You don't need to learn all the notes, whatever you get from the teacher. And like how Gopala said, teacher will always specify you what is correct, what is more important and what is less important. For example, in mathematics I would suggest don't read NCERT because NCERT is not enough. NCERT touches barely 1% of JEE requirements. I would suggest you read coaching modules, and if you like R.D. Sharma, you can read R.D. Sharma, but I would suggest R.D. Sharma is too big for a 11th standard student because you directly get 2 volumes. I would suggest you begin small. You use first year modules and teacher notes. And I'm saying you that at the end of the day, like before exam, you are only going to read your notes. You won't refer through like some 2 or 13 books of modules, etc. So I would also suggest that make revision notes because I did that mistake. Just 1 month before I completed the revision notes and I couldn't go through them. I would suggest that after every chapter or after you complete a chapter, for example, you won't get the syllabus as chapters, you would get them as categories. For example, physics, you get electromagnetism. Separately, like 5-6 chapters would be there for electromagnetism. Make at a time revision notes for electromagnetism, but because you may find concepts interrelated, and always you focus upon your notes and read less from NCRT, especially from mathematics side. And physics, I would suggest you do additional exercises from NCRT, but not required if you are good enough at what your teacher gives you. First priority is always your teacher, and during last minute preparation, I would always suggest that don't refer notes, don't refer modules. I would suggest you go back to those workbooks or wherever you solve your problems. You would obviously mark those important questions. You do those because I believe that more questions you do, more concept you grasp, and that actually helps a lot because that's what I did during last few days of JEE.
We having like many notebooks towards the end of year, and it's not possible to revise everything in that one day at the end. So what I did was when you're giving mocks, there'll be questions which you don't know or which you were not very confident about. So keep a book in which you note down all the points which was new to you or which you thought was important, which you didn't know properly. So in the last 1 or 2 days, as mainly for NEET, because you saw NCRT many times for chemistry and biology mainly already, so it would already be in your head. So maybe you can give glance of the whole NCRT in 3 or 4 to 5 hours, and then after that whatever points you wrote from the mocks you gave in all the 3 subjects, you can go through that so you remember your mistakes. And at times it happens that when you're giving your exam, it just reminds you of the question which you got wrong, so you're like, this is something I went wrong in and this was the point, and you don't make the mistake in the main exam.
Set is important except for maths. All the 3 subjects, it's very important. For chemistry and for biology, I believe it's very important. Physics, it's important for understanding concept, or you can directly understand from a teacher. So yeah, for maths it's not that important, but for biology, chemistry and physics it's important.
It's a lighter question. One student asked, she has a habit of sleeping and she is not very energetic, even in school time or in tuition time. She is asking what I should do.
I say I'm a very strong example of this.
Okay.
Like, to ask my brother, I sleep a lot. Yeah, sleeping is okay. It just makes you different. And being different is okay. But I would suggest that when you're studying, make it a habit that you become uncomfortable. Because when you become uncomfortable, your brain leads you to become much more active during those times when you're uncomfortable. When you're in a comfort zone, you won't be much active. You always tend to be nice, casual. So what I did was, what me and my brother did was, we made our sleep schedule strict. What we did, we decided we would sleep 10 and we would wake up 4. Often we used to fail, but yeah, we tried our best. And actually it works. Wake up 4 o'clock, study for those 2 hours. Yes, many times I used to sleep, my brother used to sleep. But still, you need to make sure that you wake up at least, because that's what makes you much more disciplined. And it doesn't matter what you do in those 2 hours, it doesn't matter. But you should make sure that you wake up, you sit at your table, and you at least read anything for 5 minutes. That's much more important compared to my sleep is very bad and how can I modify. Rather than that, you need to take decisions, because you're gonna prepare for 2 years. And every now and then, if you change your decision, it's bad. Either you take a big decision or you just change decisions throughout your preparation. And during my time, I did the second thing. Rather than taking a big decision at a time, I changed many decisions. I would strongly suggest take one big decision and follow it thoroughly. It will be hard, obviously, because you're getting uncomfortable. So it is definitely hard. But once you make the uncomfortable comfortable to yourself, you can make everything okay.
Thank you very much, all of you. It was really a very practical suggestion you guys have given, which you have praised it and you have given result. I hope all the students who are watching and who will watch after this video is uploaded will learn something from you guys. They will at least take something out of this. They will practice in their life, in their studies, and definitely it will be a positive for all of them. I really thank you all taking time since 6 o'clock. You guys are here, putting your effort for all your juniors. Definitely, indirectly, you have motivated many of them, and indirectly, somebody will take best practices from all of you, and they will crack. Indirectly, you have pushed somebody else to crack JEE and NEET. Thank you very much. I really appreciate all of you for coming here, and all the best for your career, doctors and engineers in front of us, the upcoming doctors and engineers. Good. Definitely do let us know where you have taken admission and all those things. Okay? And always I'll seek help from you guys to motivate all juniors so that they also get good rank. And all our viewers who are watching, all our students, you should be the next one sitting here next year after your result. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.